Anime. Anime can be many things. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's borderline incest. But every once in a while, you get a masterpiece. What's going on, guys? Sunny aka The Random Recorder here, and today I'm reviewing Weathering with You, an anime film directed and written by Makoto Shinkai, who also directed the film Your Name in 2016. Before I get started, I want to say something about another film that released recently, 1917. I told some people that I planned on making a review on it, and I did, but I didn't really want to do 2 film reviews consecutively, so instead of that, let me just say, I really liked 1917, especially the score and the camera work, with the entire movie being cut to look like one shot. I can absolutely recommend it if you're into war films, or if you're interested in high-class camera work, editing, and scores. Anyway, let's get on to the review of this movie, starting with a small synopsis. Weathering with You is about Hodaka Morishima, an island-dwelling Japanese boy who runs away from home into Tokyo and finds Hina Amano, a girl who has the ability to control the weather through her prayers. From there, the movie details their adventures and their relationship. I think this movie excels, especially in 2 areas, and the first is its story and writing. If you've seen Your Name, it's kind of actually similar to that, with the premise revolving around a boy and a girl who meet and are connected by a cosmic force or a fantasy element, who over time begin to develop a bond and actually love each other. Plus, it also has lovable, incredibly lovable, and hilarious side characters. However, I would say it's different in 2 ways, writing-wise. The first is its depiction of Tokyo, and its involvement with the fantasy elements is the second. Let's look at the depiction of Tokyo first. In Your Name, the side of Tokyo shown is much more elegant. You get a look at schools and cafes, and maybe a more regular life for these city dwellers. However, in Weathering with You, you get something completely different. You gotta remember that the story is about a 16-year-old kid who goes to Tokyo without any money or any relatives or anyone. He's just trying to survive.
Me, I'm fighting for my life. Yo, killing me with this.
The look you get is much more street-based and a hard view of Tokyo, if that makes sense. You see nightclubs, police, and journalists just trying to make a living in their small studios. Over time, Hodaka begins to meet people, and that depiction begins to become more and more friendly, but it still remains different in the sense that it kind of feels more suburban and rural than Your Name's. Let's get on to our next point. Weathering with You is far less involved in its fantasy elements than Your Name was. And that was a really big plot point for Your Name, but it's much more toned down here. To me, it was way more down to earth. It still incorporates fantasy elements, but it shines much more with its characters and the relationships between them, with a lot of the main cast feeling fleshed out and just interesting on their own. I know I might get flack for saying this, but I personally enjoyed this more character-driven approach much more than Your Name's approach to storytelling. While the ending is controversial, I personally loved it. It poses an interesting question and asks the viewer how far they would go for the one that they love. Overall, I thought the story was absolutely terrific. It's gripping and heartwarming in all the right ways. Let's move on to the animation. Look at this drawing. Now look at the movie. Drawing, movie, drawing, movie. Old Spice. Wait, that's not right. Anyway, before I get back to the review, just know that this is actually one of my own drawings. Back to the movie. Every frame here feels like an honest, genuine piece of art, and I mean that as literally as possible. Look at this water. Look at it. Is that not the most amazing water you've ever seen? Come on! How does this not, you have to love it just off the animation. And for those of you who care, there are some stunningly animated food scenes in this film. And before you non-anime watchers say that there's no one that cares, yeah, there are. On to the bad parts of this movie. So the bad parts of this movie were, well, actually, I don't really have anything for this part. It was honestly just a 10 out of 10. I'll say that there are a lot of jokes until a certain portion of the film, so if you don't like that, then that might be a problem for you. But, I mean, everything to me was absolutely heat. The soundtrack bumped, the animation rocked, the writing was amazing, and it's really good. You don't even have to be into anime to enjoy it. Though I will say it is a bit more mature. It actually has depictions of violence, and the police do get involved as a plot point. So I will say it's not for kids or anything. So please, please, please do yourself a favor and watch Weathering with You. It doesn't have to be in a theater, even if you rent it or pirate the movie. Just please watch it.